This video is a must-watch for any motorcycle fan. Cycle drag universe, motorcycle fanatics, do we have a stop for you? We are here in Columbus at the Mecca, the AMA Motorcycle Hall of Fame. We've got so much to see. It's raining outside, it's drizzly, we're dealing with the 2020 pandemic, but guess what? We're gonna go tell some motorcycle stories. Stay with us all throughout this video. So many motocross machines, road racing machines, Harleys, classic BMWs, and so much more. Let's check it out. Oh my goodness. Wow. Look at this. We are here. I have always wanted to check this out. This is so amazing. Let's see, is Mr. Steve around? Steve!
How you doing, Jack?
Steve, thank you so much for having us. Appreciate it. We know it's been a crazy year here, but man, we're so excited to be here. Thank you for having us.
Thanks for coming.
All right, Cycle Drag Universe. So you can't make it to Columbus, Ohio right now? No problem. We're going to take you through a full tour of these hallowed halls. So many motorcycles to see. Do me a favor. We want you to shout out your favorite motorcycle and why at the end. And if you have stories involving any of these bikes, make sure you leave them down in the comments. You aren't going to believe some of the history we uncover, some of the legends we talk about, and some of the amazing machines that there are to see here in Columbus, Ohio at the AMA Hall of Fame Museum. It is the Hall of Fame. Look, we got the whole cycle drag crew here. You guys pumped up or what?
Oh, we're excited, man.
We're going to see some amazing motorcycles. Well, Steve, I'd like to begin with a special raffle bike that you guys have. Tell me about this work of art.
So what we've got here, Jack, we've got an 03 Harley-Davidson Sportster, custom built by a guy named Kevin Dunworth. Now, he was formerly Loaded Gun Customs, so quite a well-known name. Now, this is a tribute to a board tracker that we have downstairs. So this is from the styles from the turn of the last century, but this is a lot more high-tech. Like I said, we've got the 2003 motor that's tuned up, different ignition systems. If we check here, we've got all modern controls, radial brakes, 21-inch wheel up front, and 23 in the rear. Fox shock to support the suspension. Pull this around here, check out the brake lights.
Wow.
Brake lights and turn signals integrated right there.
That's cool.
Yeah, very cool. You've done a great job on it.
And you're telling me for only $5 a ticket, people can get in?
$5 a ticket.
Wow.
Yep.
Is there any way to get in online?
Yes, there is.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you can get it online through the AMA website.
Okay.
So you can check that out there. $5 a ticket, and everyone's really excited about this bike. I've had it running, but it's a little too loud to fire up in the Hall of Fame.
I understand that. Well, we got so much to see. I know we have a Vincent over here that's very near and dear to your heart. Why don't you tell us a little bit about this fine machine?
So the Vincent, this is a 1954 Rapide. It's on loan from a Hall of Famer, from John Parham. Now, the thing I love about these bikes the most is I kind of grew up observing a rebuild of one, and I actually finally got an opportunity to ride it on the day before I enlisted in the military. Super valuable bike. If you check out the tech on it for the day. So we've got 2 rear sprockets, one on either side of the wheel. So one's for touring and one's for more sportier riding. Every piece of this bike is adjustable seat heights, adjustable gear shifter depending on the size of your feet. Every single part of this bike, highly adjustable. Look, all the hardware, stainless out of the factory. Everything, every piece of hardware on there, stainless steel. The detailing, pinstripe rims out of the factory. Now these bikes were like the best of the best. 1000cc V-twin, good for about 115 miles an hour. The one that I took, you gotta think this is back in the 40s.
Yeah.
Super bike, very first super bike. Yep, I rode one and it was everything that I expected it to be. Check out the suspension. This is something that Yamaha started using in the 70s. You know, you've got your swing arm and then you've got 2 shocks. It's like a monocross suspension from the Yamaha dirt bikes. Vincent were doing it way before that.
Vincent was ahead of its time.
Way ahead of its time.
Way ahead of its time. What do you think a motorcycle like this would bring in at an auction now?
This is probably a $100,000 bike.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, 150,000.
Some type of a parking brake or something, or what?
So that's the adjuster. If you look on the linkage, okay, when we pull the front brake,
Yeah.
that's to get
Oh,
both.
okay.
That's to get both
That's
shoes
okay,
on
I
both
got you.
sides of the
Yeah,
wheel.
yeah. All right, I thought
In
this might be,
calibration.
that's the speedometer then up front here.
Yes, it
Okay.
is, yeah.
All right, I was mixed up on that.
Yeah, very, very cool bike
Wow,
though.
boy, that's a, you ain't gonna miss that adjustment knob, huh?
No, no.
So before we go any further, we got to talk about this BMW with the sidecar. Our resident BMW fan, Murd, with the Cycle Drag shirt on. Murd, tell me a little bit about what we're looking at here.
Well, I had one of these way back in the 70s, but it wasn't this nice. This is a R750. It's the same model the Germans used in the war because they had plenty of power, reliable as heck, constant velocity carburetors.
What's the level of collectability like for these things? I mean, there's a lot of BMW enthusiasts out there that we know.
Yeah, and they're all putting them away. But you'll see them around.
How about with the sidecar? How much more rare does that make it?
I don't know. This might be an aftermarket sidecar. I don't know my sidecars.
Well, you can answer that in the comments, guys.
There was an axle straight off the back wheel over to this wheel. Both wheels spun.
That was on the German war bike.
Right, and so it could go straight up the side of the hill, hauling 3 troops.
Oh my gosh. 2 on the motorcycle, 1 in the sidecar.
And the one in the sidecar had a machine gun on it right here. It was called the Blitzkrieg.
Well, Steve, we've gone back a few years, but now we're really going to go back to the Genesis. What in the world are we looking at here?
So what we're looking at here is a replica model. Like the original one was actually slightly larger, but back in 1885, Gottlieb Daimler, he produced this, what was called a riding car at the time. You got an engine underneath here. Okay, on this big frame, wooden wheels, a belt drive, onto a gear drive. Yeah, this is where it all started. This is what got us where we are today.
We've come
2
a long
wheels
way.
and a motor.
Sure have come a long way, haven't
Yes, we did.
All right, before we go too much further, let's take a lot of you back to your childhood. I'm sure here's a 1971 Honda Mini Trail. So many individuals grew up on these. They're very collectible. This one is mint. Looks to be all original. Beautiful motorcycle. If you have any stories involving the Mini Trail, please share below. So much to see here. 1961 Honda RC 161. How about a 1924 Ace High Roller? This one obviously catching a lot of attention too. This is a 1930 Henderson 4. So many gorgeous bikes here in Columbus. What's your walk-in traffic like? Do you get a lot of people just passing through on trips?
Yeah, we do actually, Jack. So that's slowed down a little bit with what's going on with COVID and all of that right now. We're probably running on about 60% of our normal through traffic, but we get around 20 people a day here. Fridays and Mondays where people are traveling for the weekend. You know, we're right off the highway, and we want to be a venue for people to come and look. But yeah.
Well, there certainly is so much to see. KZ fans, we got to show you one that's near and dear to our heart. Check this out, incredibly rare. The 1980 Mystery Ship. It's so rare that only 10 of them were made. It came from the creation of Craig Vetter. Many of you remember him. He had bodywork, he had different fairings. The KZ went for about $3,500 in this era. This motorcycle, $10,000 because it was so incredibly rare. It was a true race bike. I mean, look at some of these features. As you can see, it was very special. And I'll tell you, I know right now, value has skyrocketed. There were a lot of people at Mecum Auction in Las Vegas bidding on the only one that I've ever seen in person other than this. This This was the 1982 high mileage bike from AMA Motorcycle Hall of Famer Craig Vetter. It was his desire to do more with less energy that was the fuel that powered his promotion of high mileage motorcycles. True piece of history.
Sony, Alphabet.
More amazing KZs over here. Bsa exhaust. I did not know Bsa exhaust was made for the KZ.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. Here's the Kawasaki Kz right here. Beautiful Vetter fairing. Piece of history.
How heavy back in the day. Look at the size of this brake mount. I mean, these days we're running something that's a tenth the size of that.
Well, you said it too many times. We look at our old KZs, and it was the fastest thing anybody had ever seen at that time. So it was overkill on the brakes, the weight. You're looking now at what can stop a Bsa or a GSXR 1000. Back then, this is what they thought you needed with these ultra.
Get a look at the thickness of these disc brakes, and they put 2 up front.
Yeah, nobody would run that on their motorcycle.
12 pounds of upsprung weight that you're spinning. Gets you made up for it with the fiberglass.
It was a different era. Steve, the picture of the great Willie G tells us we are coming close to some Harley-Davidson treasure. What do we have here?
So right here we've got the Harley-Davidson Pea Shooter, which is from 26.
1926.
Quite a famous bike. Really, really cool looking.
That's amazing.
Yeah, this is the Pea Shooter. This is one of the first real motorcycles that had the proper set of controls. You know, it was a really cool bike. You know, foot controls, footrests, and this is the one that really changed the game. Now, sitting right next to it, this one's actually in India.
Okay.
So this is a 2016 prototype for the FTR 750. Now, you know the bike that's cleaning up on the flat tracks right now. Also, this is the precursor to the FTR 1200 Indian. That's the street bike now, which incidentally I own one of them. So very cool. Only been around for a few years. 55-inch wheelbase. That's just like the street going version. And the reason why they use steel tubing in this is like to give the frame the right amount of flex to work on the flat track effectively. Yeah, very cool. So this would have been a clay model at some point and then built out in fiberglass.
When I say they have it all at the AMA Hall of Fame, I mean it here in the museum. Check it out. Black cylinder paint and Harley-Davidson grease. I have no idea what year that is from, but Steve, that looks old.
Oh, it's old. Probably not something that you want to put on your bike nowadays, but yeah, that's from, who knows?
Did I tell you this was a must experience or what? We're actually in Pinkerton, Ohio, right outside of Columbus. It's only $10 to get in. It's a great excuse to go for a ride. Look at that. There's the legend, Byron Hines. We know him well from the drag bike world. I really hope you're enjoying this tour. Trust me, guys, we are still just getting started. Remember, if you see a bike that you know anything about, if you remember it from your childhood, please leave it down below in the comments. We're going to go check out some motocross bikes, some supercross bikes. We're going to see some ambassadors, the Hall of Fame, maybe even a Terminator bike. There's so much more left to see. Please make sure you share this with any friend who loves motorcycles. The museum does an excellent job preserving history. Steve, I really like the way things are laid out here. You just pointed out you got flat track from the 50s all the way up to modern age.
Yeah, we do. You want to take a look at them?
Yeah, let's take a look at what we got.
Okay, so over here we've got we've got a 59 KR 750. Now, Harley's synonymous with flat track racing, and in the 50s, like really, that was the only machine to go for. Then in the 60s, the British parallel twins started coming over. So your Triumphs and BSAs, some Nortons as well. Now, we look here, we've got a BSA, it's a 650 twin. Now that was a configuration that pretty much dominated flat track racing because the bikes were so much lighter. And they handled that because they had the shorter wheelbase because of the parallel twin motor. So this would be a typical Triumph, well, this is a BSA, but the Triumph uses the same type of motor. And then after that, Harley-Davidson in the 70s produced the XR750, which we've got a great example of right here.
1970.
Yeah, 1970 XR750. Now that pretty much remained the same all the way up to the 90s. Now these things were just dominating the flat track racing. 73 horsepower. You know, back in 1970 on the racetrack, you could literally just go buy one of these. Very closely related to a modern Sportster, actually. 4-cam motor, V-twin, push rods. Okay, if you look at it, it looks really similar to the Harleys of today.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah.
Kept that same look.
Then in the 80s, we had the Japanese offering, which is the NS750. They're ridden by Mike Kidd. This is an 82. Now, believe it or not, anyone remember the old CX500? The
Yes,
street bike.
yes.
So this motor was based on the CX500. I don't know if you remember, the CX500 was a V-twin but rotated that way.
Okay.
This motor is based on it, and even the casings and some of the features on the motor you can actually distinguish. But they got a CX500 motor, Bardon stroked it, and then turned the whole engine 90 degrees and then put it in the flat track bike. And this bike was known as the Sidewinder.
Sounds like something else Holmes did.
Yeah.
Beautiful. You have it all the way up to, here's the 1999 Harley-Davidson XR750 ridden by Jay Springsteen.
Yeah. So just a development of the old 70s XR. Again, you can see how similar it looks, but way more high performance. I mean, they're putting out a lot more than 70 horsepower in this form. And then just going back to the last exhibit, the Indians then kind of took over and are in full competition with the same type of Harleys right now.
Truly amazing, man. What
Yeah.
a setup. I got to show you one that's really special too. Big shout out to our good friend Rob Muzzy. Come check this out. This is a piece of history. This is Wayne Rainey's 1983 Kawasaki GPZ 750. Now, what's special about this bike is there were some rule changes that put Kawasaki behind the 8-ball. And as you can see, this was an air-cooled inline 4-cylinder bike. Kawasaki wasn't exactly on the edge of technology, shall we say. The Honda was out. It was liquid-cooled. It was more powerful. To begin the 1983 season, Honda won the first 6 races, but the mastermind, Rob Muzzy, was able to squeeze more power out of this Kawasaki. Rainey won the last 6 and went on to win an improbable 1983 championship. Continuing on here, Steve, so much to see. Man, we're having a great time. Thank you so much for having us. Everybody needs to come here, number one.
Yeah, they do.
And I'd also like to say we're just giving people a small taste. You could spend days in here. But continuing on, what are we looking at now?
So if we look at this Harley-Davidson here, and we were just talking about the XR750s, this is another variant of the XR, of the Iron Barrel XR. So this is from 1970 as well. So not only did the Harley XR was used in flat track, also was used in road racing. They actually sent this this specific bike here back to England, and there was a transatlantic match race. So they would get it's a 6-race series, which would get the top riders from England and the United States, and they would race together. Now this one was raced by Cal Rayborn. Awesome road racing. He won 3 races on this bike, and he got second on the other 3. So pretty cool bike there.
All right, we got to take you to a really cool section, all you motocross, supercross fans. Let's briefly check out the dirt section. This is amazing. And we begin with a piece of history. Check this out. This is Jeff Emmig's 1992 YZ125. This was Jeff Emmig's first professional machine. Emig went on to have one of the greatest careers of all time. The 1997 Supercross champion, upsetting Jeremy McGrath. 4-time outdoor champion and an AMA Hall of Famer. This bike is on loan from Jeff Emig. Thank you so much. Right next to that is Jeff Rowe's last winning bike, a 2000 YZ250. You can see how much things changed. Gosh, you can spend so much time in here as well. We go all the way back to 1974 over here, and 1973 with the Yamaha YZ360 up above. The Bultaco down here, very famous, iconic machine. 1975 Can-Am over in this section. Gorgeous motorcycle. Here is Donnie Schmidt's 1990 RM125. Mike Kzdrowski's fourth title bike. That's from 1993. Here's one of Mike LaRocco's bikes. This is a 2004 CR250. Of course, Mike LaRocco, the Iron Man, he had the most Supercross starts in history until Chad Reed was able to surpass him just a couple seasons ago. And really, the shining star in here, the revolutionary bike, is this machine. I know you guys remember this. This was in 1997 when a man named Doug Henry came out with the Yamaha Thumper, the 4-stroke. In a time when 2-strokes were the only choice, they were dominant. Doug Henry rode this to an AMA Outdoor Championship, and we now know 4-strokes are all the rage. It was game-changing. A lot of history in here. Here's Carmichael's 2005 RM250. Here is a bike that I remember well. Carmichael's 2001 KX SR250, built and tuned by Chad Watts, one of the greatest mechanics ever. We do know that Ricky Carmichael has rightfully earned the name, the GOAT. Take a look here. They have Carmichael's 2004 CRF 450. This is the one that Ricky rode to a perfect season. They got a lot of Ricky Carmichael bikes in here. Here's his 2003 CR250R. It was an explosive racing weapon. These are the machines that helped make Carmichael the greatest of all time, that's for sure. History everywhere. There's a man we recognize from the motorcycle drag racing world, the late, great Jim McClure, the godfather of Nitro Harley. We miss him dearly. So much going on. Steve, what section are we in now?
So we're in the hill climbing and land speed record section right now. I've got a bike that you guys might be particularly interested in.
Okay.
So, remember how we got the raffle bike up front, an 883 Sportster? Well,
Yeah.
This is one of the originals. It's a 1957, but the cool thing about this bike, it actually was a standard 883 Sportster that was worked on to the point where it was a nitro burning 1500cc land speed record bike and drag bike. Now this thing will run 9-second quarters, and also will do over 200 miles an hour on Bonneville sole flaps. It's the same bike. If you look at this, look at where the pipe is.
That would be terrifying. Yeah, but this is on a counter. I kinda like
1967 Bsa 650.
This guy was obviously into.
Yeah, we've got a really good hill climb. It's quite a famous one. Devil's Staircase or something like that it's called. Yeah, I'm gonna watch it.
A lot of times I used to.
How about an exhibit dedicated to the quintessential American daredevil, the one and only Evel Knievel? And Steve, this is so cool. You guys have the actual X-rays. How in the world did you get a hold of Evel Knievel's X-rays?
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff from Evel's archives. We got his X-rays right there. There's some checks that he actually used to write to people. A few other souvenirs. Yeah, very cool. Very cool guy.
Great shot of the Wheelie King here. I'm sure so many of you remember the Wheelie King. Share a story if you have one. All right, we told you we would bring you some off-road gold here in the hallowed halls of the AMA Hall of Fame and Museum. As you can see it right there. Let's go check out the off-road section. And there is so much moto history over here, fans. We're going to begin by taking a close look at the 1994 Kawasaki KX500 of Danny Hamill. Now, what's cool about this bike is it is unrestored. It's in race condition, like so many other of the motorcycles we see. This was built by Dave Powell. It had Kawasaki Team Green and Pro Circuit editions. This is how it came out of the desert after Danny Hamill's 1995 season. This was the machine that powered Hamill to his 1994 Baja 1000 championship when he teamed up with legends Larry Rossler and Ty Davis. Played a big part in the 1995 AMA National Hare and Hound Championship Series as well. A true piece of history from Danny Hamill. Let's go way back now. Here's a motorcycle that I saw featured on Jay Leno's garage in 1975, Rokon, or Rock-On as they were originally called. RT340. This one belonged to legend Ron Bishop. This was his desert sled. This manufacturer offered 3 versions of this 340cc competition model, all powered by a 37 horsepower Sachs engine. Bishop was a legend. He competed in the Baja 1000, the Baja 500, the Mint 400, scored very impressive finishes in all those races. He also made it to 1975 International 6 Days Trial. Take a look, guys, at some of the history. There's Leroy Winters enshrined. Some of the folks up on the wall here in the off-road section. Even our good friend Scott Hardin. We're going to get a close look at Scott's bike here in just a little bit. But first, let's check out this amazing XR600. This is a 1985 edition that belonged to legend Bruce Ogilvie. It is a true desert weapon. It's been to Baja many times. This machine really became iconic. 591cc engine that pumped out 46 horsepower at 6,000 RPMs. The chassis features an aluminum swing arm and 43mm air-assisted telescopic forks. The XR600 had a great run until it was eventually replaced by the XR650 in 2000. Man, I can't tell you how awesome this is to be right next to Scott Hardin's KTM 660. What an amazing piece of history. And currently, Scott is just an integral and essential part of the administrative side of the Best in the Desert series, where he's a beloved figure, working very hard alongside the Folks brothers. He is a marketing specialist, but I'll tell you, he was even more of a specialist behind that set of handlebars right there, HardinOffroad.com. Scott was one of the greatest off-road racers of all time. His resume is off the charts. How about this? A 2-time Baja 1000 overall winner, 3-time overall Baja 500 winner, 3-time overall score champion, 4-time overall Best in the Desert champion, 3-time International 6-Day Enduro medalist. He's done so much. Was even the 1994 AMA National Enduro Vet Class champion. Truly a desert rally specialist. And what we love about Scott is he's so humble. You got to talk to him at the Best in the Desert series and ask him about some of this stuff. You probably won't get much out of him because he is so humble, but clearly his motorcycle, his mannequin, they're in their rightful place in the AMA Hall of Fame. Let's slide over here, Husqvarna fans. Here you go. How about a 1979 National Enduro Championship bike? Look what these racers competed on in some of the most grueling conditions back then. We have certainly come a long way, haven't we? Truly amazing. And if you think this one is primitive, wait till you take a look at our next motorcycle, because we're going all the way back to the 50s. This is a 1956 Harley-Davidson. Could you imagine riding through some tight single-track terrain with this machine? That's what they did back in 1956. Gorgeous piece of history. Along those same lines, we got to turn our attention to a rider who got so much out of a machine that wasn't even intended for that application. This is the 1998 4-stroke Woods Weapon XR600 of Scott Summers. Now, he dominated the United States woods racing in the East, but he did so on a motorcycle that was designed to go fast in the desert, not through tight trees. That's why he's one of the greatest of all time. Here's a real gem here, 1963 Husqvarna Racer, a bike that helped start a revolution. This unrestored machine is number 59 of just 100 250cc race machines built in 1963. It is so rare. And here's a Suzuki that certainly represents an era, because through the 2000s, most cross-country racers competed on converted motocross bikes, and that was the case for the legend Rodney Smith. He was a motocrosser that started out on RM250s. He made the switch over, and he ended up winning 13 AMA national titles, including 5 GNCC titles, 3 AMA national hare scramble titles, and 5 AMA national reliability enduro championships. What a true legend he was. This bike is nicknamed Old Champ. So much history. It is a must-see if you're an off-road fan. Even the famous On Any Given Sunday machine is enshrined here near Columbus, Ohio. You got to think of the legends Steve McQueen and Malcolm Smith when you see that awesome motorcycle. You guys got to get here if you can. And remember, keep those comments, keep those stories coming. If you know anything about any of these legends or racers, I could spend 3 days in this wing. One more fact I want to tell you about Scott Hardin's Red Bull machine. He entered the Dakar Rally in 2005 on this bike, finished 17th out of 250. Man, just a small taste of some off-road racing history. You got to come to the AMA Hall of Fame near Columbus, Ohio. It is a must stop. There is so much to see, I promise you that. Man, Steve, there are just so many sections here. It's, like I said, it would be easy to spend a couple days here. What are we looking at in this particular section?
So these are ambassadors for the industry and motorcycle in general. We've got a really cool 1960 panhead here. Now this was Roger Hull. He didn't start riding until he was in his 40s, but then over the next 28 years, he became one of the most influential guys in American motorcycling, period. Now, what we've got here, here's an ambassador for Harley-Davidson, and so there's a little write-up on him here. When he started to save money for his Harley-Davidson fund, then he was just trying to keep it quiet from his friends and family, and then he bought this new 1960 Harley. It's a panhead, and he named it Hound Dog. Yeah, he put over 100,000 miles on this bike. Yeah.
True iron butt.
Yep. Yeah, we've actually got an employee here that's got over 100,000 on his Harley as well.
That's cool.
Yeah, right.
I ride with a guy, Don Settle. Just took a ride for him, 1987 Ninja. He's getting ready to crack 200,000.
Wow, that's some good going.
Yeah, it is.
He does his own maintenance.
Does his own maintenance. Tires, change, sprockets, that's about all it takes. Little oil change.
Very good.
He loves it. If it's a nice day out and the sun's out, he's riding.
Yeah, we've got another real high mileage bike here. Now, this one, Dave Barr, I don't know if you're familiar with him. He was a veteran, and in his military career, he became a double amputee. Now, he rode around the world on this bike. He's been to every corner of the globe. Russia in the dead of winter. He went to Australia, and it's on a 1972, so it's a shovelhead Harley. Overcame his physical obstacles, done a round the world trip. So, real good guy, Dave Barr.
No doubt.
Inspirational.
The aforementioned Jay Leno alongside Dave Barr. There are some greats. We're going to walk into the Hall of Fame in just a second, too, and show you some of these names. If you know anybody who you think should be nominated who's not yet in, let us know in the comments. Seemingly endless. I told you guys, you got to get here. It's right off 70 if you're passing through. Make sure you check the website, get the days, get the hours, but it is worth the stop. And this is what it's all about, everybody. The two-wheeled version of Cooperstown, a place where every motorcycle racer dreams to one day be. Wait till you check out some of the names. This is it, guys. This is the AMA Hall of Fame. Check out some of these names behind me. We're going to get a close look. What an amazing honor, huh? Steve, here we are. The hallowed halls of the AMA Hall of Fame. Oh my gosh, some of the greatest names in motorcycle history are here behind us.
Yeah, so we're standing in the Hall of Fame gallery right now. As you can see by looking around, we started the Hall of Fame in 1998. Now what it does is give people an opportunity to vote on individuals that have had a great contribution into the motorcycle industry and culture. So we've got some super famous names in here. Everybody from engineers in the motorcycle industry, racers, movie stars. Every corner of motorcycling is represented, and people that are in here are very special to us. Land speed record holders. We've got Burt Monroe, Steve McQueen.
Yeah, point out some of your favorites. I'm singling out some of my favorite drag racing influences.
Okay.
Oh, there we go.
So we've got Steve McQueen down here. Obviously, King of Cool. Jay Leno, ambassador for motorcycling, collector. Lowell used to ride with Steve McQueen. This is one of my favorites. He was an engineer, high-level tuner.
I got a couple shout-outs right here. Got to give a shout-out to the tuning legend, Byron Hines. We've got Mike LaRocco, the Iron Man. How about Rob Muzzy? We got to give a shout-out to Rob. Steve, how does one get into the Hall of Fame?
So the way that happens is they basically get nominated by our membership. So people vote, and then whoever gets the most votes. Now, as you can see, there's multiple nominees for each year as well. So yeah, it's all done by the membership. We've got Willie H there, and Willie G's in there somewhere as well. Yeah, Willie G's above him. And then we've got the founders of Harley-Davidson down here.
Certainly deserving.
Yeah.
I see Al Crocker down here, founder of Crocker Motorcycles.
Genius.
So many names, just amazing. How many did you say go in each year? Is there a set number or can it vary?
I think it varies from year to year. Like as you can see, we've got quite a lot from 2018 and a lot in 1998 because that's when we first started doing the inductees.
We got Fred Fox over here. So many amazing names. I wish we could probably tell a story about every single one of these individuals. You know you've made it as a motorcycle man when you get inducted into the Hall of Fame, though, that's for sure.
For sure. It's a great accolade.
Check out this simulator. We have a Suzuki Gs650g. This is just one of the many cool things you can do here at the AMA Hall of Fame. Wow. Steve, what's the story behind this? How long has this been here? I don't know where this scenery is right here, but I'd sure love to go for a ride. Wow. That's a lot of fun. All right, are you still with me? What if I told you we haven't even gone downstairs yet? Leave me a comment. Let me know your favorite motorcycle and why so far. Make sure you watch this all the way to the end. And we got to thank and appreciate the AMA Hall of Fame for collecting and recording and preserving all of this amazing history, rich motorcycling history. That's what this is all about. If you love two wheels, if you love posterity, you have to respect it. I don't see any brakes. Steve, looking at a true piece of history here, that's for sure.
Yeah, this is a Harley from the turn of the last century, from the early 1900s. Now, this is the inspiration for the raffle bike that we saw earlier upstairs. As you can see, it's a very, very good representation of it. The paint, the size of the wheels, coloring. But yeah, these bikes were basically when motorcycles were first coming onto the road. Of course, what's the first thing that happens when there's two bikes? You start racing them. And these guys would run around these wooden tracks. Ultimately, this type of sport had to stop because it was literally so dangerous. So between up until about 1930, there was only two of these tracks left for this type of racing. But
that's amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing.
And we know that motorcycles started as engines strapped onto bicycle frames. That's clearly evident here. It looks so much like a bicycle.
Yeah, it does.
Separated the men from the boys to be able to go fast on one of these things, didn't it?
Totally. I mean, this
no
took
brakes.
No.
This took some nerves.
Wow.
These things would do 100 miles an hour back then.
That's crazy.
Unheard of.
That's crazy.
You know, you're doing 100 miles an hour around a wooden circuit, and with no brakes. So yeah.
Wow, we found a lot of BMWs down here. We're gonna go back to our resident BMW enthusiast, Mert. Mert, what are you thinking about when you see this collection?
I wish I had $1 million.
I'm sure. Now, what are we looking at here? Do you recognize any of these?
That's the exposed drive shaft. Yeah, it's spinning around as you're going down the road.
Amazing. Why do you think BMW went with that type of design? I mean,
Since 1923, that's what they used.
so a lot of it was just tradition, and from an engineering standpoint, I mean, what do you think of, Steve, when you take a look at that?
So BMW, from an engineering standpoint, I mean, still to this day, they have a lot of features that will put them streets ahead of their time. Look at the ignition key, for example, on the old BMWs. Like, that's the key, and the headlight switch all in one. The way the kickstart mechanism's designed, you look at it now, it's at 90 degrees to the motor. Now, the way that you would originally start one of these is you'd stand up on the cylinder block, and then that'd give you enough weight and inertia to kick that kickstart, because if you try and do it in a normal position, it's not quite there. The other cool thing about these type of BMWs, front and rear wheels, completely interchangeable. So for tire wear, there was that. What else you've got with it? If all the bags are removed from this, it has a hinged rear fender, so it's really easy to remove the rear wheel. But yeah, these bikes are so technologically advanced, and you know, they can still hold their own today.
Beautiful. Now, Murd, you may be able to help me out with this. Steve, you may be able to help me too. Isn't it true the correct terminology for a motorcycle is a beamer, right? A car is a bimmer, or do I have that mixed around?
I don't know. I think that varies from country to country. I'll always refer to them as a beamer.
Yeah, I know that the cars have been called beamers, but somebody stopped me one time. Hey, only the motorcycle's a beamer is what somebody said. What's the real story on that, Murd? Do you know?
I didn't know BMW made cars.
A common response from a BMW motorcyclist, and you know, that's something too. Why is there such disparity, such a difference between the car manufacturer side of it and the motorcycle manufacturer side of it? One, it seems like
motorcycles came first.
that's true.
So here's the thing with the BMWs. Actually, they at the time when these were produced, they were producing aeroplane engines. So that's why these are so highly engineered. And the rounder on the badge, the BMW badge, the blue and white, actually represents the propeller and the clouds. So back in this time, this was very close to the design of like a radial aeroplane engine. And they didn't start making cars until the 1960s.
Manufacture anything that could be used for military, so they started making motorcycles.
Yeah. And they've done a very good job of it.
Oh, they sure did. Then the Russians came in after the war and stole all their technology.
Yep.
Started making Urals.
Yep.
$1955, I gotta imagine, super collectible. What do you think the dollar figure would be on this motorcycle?
I have no idea.
On that one, there probably about $35,000.
$35,000. Okay. Bsa Rocket Three is what we're taking a look at. Near and dear to your heart, from England.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about it.
So the Bsa Rocket Three was a 750cc 3-cylinder. So in the late 1960s, I mean, it's a very cool looking bike now, but of course back then it was outdated with the advent of the Japanese machines, and specifically the CB754. So as we were talking about Craig Vetter earlier, what BSA had done is sent a Rocket 3 over to the United States and asked Craig to develop and design a much cooler motorcycle. Now, what he done, this was his rendition of it, which was the BSA Rocket 3. Now, what happened was, BSA basically went out of business and was absorbed by Triumph. So they badge engineered a version of it called the X75, the Hurricane, which is one of my all-time favorite bikes. These are really cool. So I used the 3-cylinder 750 motor, some really outrageous styling, all this fiberglass bodywork, which was Craig's speciality. Now they made less than 1,200 of these bikes. You try and find one of these now, they're around 30,000 for this type of bike in this condition. But yeah, superb bike. Ultimately didn't take off very well because by the time it was released, because of the BSA factory closing down, the CB750 and then the other resulting 4-cylinder bikes from Japan, like these guys couldn't touch it in reliability, performance, handling. I think that these are way more stylish than the Japanese bikes personally. I mean, look at the detailing on it. You've got those 3 stacks, exhausts. You know, it's almost like a street tracker but out of the factory, a real cool factory custom.
All right, Terminator fans, we got something to show you. Check this out. Who remembers the police bike that went through the window? Terminator 2, Judgment Day, Here it is, the actual motorcycle right here. And what's cool here, Steve, is, boy, they dressed it up like a Kawasaki Kz police bike.
Yeah.
But we're looking at it, it's really an XR 500.
Yep. So yeah, they got the XR 500 Enduro bike, and you can see there, you know, you've got your 4 exhausts from the 4-cylinder machine that is meant to represent, but obviously no one's going to be trying to fly through the air on a KZ1000 police bike. So this is what they used.
Amazing. How in the world did you guys get a hold of this one?
So this is on loan from us, from Lane Levitt, and it actually belonged to one of our Hall of Famers, Debbie Evans. So yeah, she owns the bike, and we were lent it.
Do you think it still runs?
I would imagine it does, yeah.
Probably hasn't been started since Judgment Day.
No, no, I haven't started it, that's for sure. And
wow, that is so cool. Piece of history. We'll have to go back and watch the movie again. I never noticed, it happened too fast in the movie to notice that exhaust pipe was not legit. Sure looked like a old school Kawasaki to me. And if you've never viewed that scene, you're going to have to go back and watch that classic footage from the 1991 Thriller. This is the one where T1000 jumped out of a glass window onto a helicopter. The bike came crashing to the ground. Looking back, I think it makes sense you didn't do it on a KZ1000. So much to see here, Steve. I know we just stumbled upon one of your favorite motorcycles. What are we looking at?
yeah, one of my favorite other bikes in here is another British bike, 1940 Tiger 100 Triumph. Now, the 100 in the name is for its alleged top speed, so it's one of the bikes that could do 100 miles an hour back in 1940, and it's the same with the later Triumphs, like the one that we have in front of it. And the T120 apparently could do 120 miles an hour. But yeah, this is super cool. I love the chrome on the tank. If you look at this bike, like the detailing on it, all the chronometric dials, like all of that kind of stuff. Again, it's same kind of era as one of my other favorites, which is the Vincent, but the way that they built these bikes back then is night and day to how it is now.
All right, old school Cow fans, here's a turbo we have to show you. You're gonna love this GPZ. Check it out, guys. It is immaculate. It is the 1984, this is the ZX750 E1 turbo. This is the last of the corporate turbos. Gotta love that iconic red and black paint. The GPZ insignia. The GPZ 750 Turbo was manufactured from 83 to 85. The 84 was an E1, the 85 was an E2. They are so incredibly collectible, such is the case with all of these amazing classics that you're taking a look at. There you go, Suzuki fans. How awesome is that? So many amazing bikes at the AMA Hall of Fame. How cool is that, Steve? Show me the cutaways here.
So what we got here is a cutaway of an Italian engine, Moto Guzzi. So this is what you can see of the inner workings of the motor. Like we can see the valve train here, our charging system. Here's our distributor. Okay, inside the exhaust pipes, we go to the back here. This is our starter motor, our transmission and final drive, and the way that the brake drum works. So you can pretty much learn anything about the inner workings of this V-twin motor. Let's go down here. You can see the crankshaft down in the sump. Yeah, this is very, very educational tool that we can use here.
It really is. And you have it for this motorcycle as well.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so this is an old, it's either a Triumph or a Ducati single cylinder. No, actually it's a Bsa single cylinder. It looked like a Triumph motor, but yeah. So a single cylinder B50 motor. And you can see the timing chain. This is the generator. The cams in here. Your gearbox. Yeah. Points cover with your ignition system in there. Real cool.
Beautiful.
It is cool. What I actually want to do is, like I said, we'll get that.
How about a 500cc two-stroke triple cutaway? Wait till you guys check this out. You guys will never believe what we found, an H1 500 Cutaway engine. Take a look at this. This is so educational. I've never seen a triple engine from this perspective, this vantage point. I'm going to go nice and slow here, so if you are as amazed as I am, feel free to play this back. Of course, the Kawasaki H1 Mach 3 was a two-stroke 500cc sport bike made by Kawasaki from 1969 through 1975. The goal here was to produce a 500cc motorcycle that could develop 60 horsepower and have 13-second quarter-mile times. A true air-cooled, three-cylinder, two-stroke, triple piece of history. Isn't that amazing? I didn't know that a cutout engine for an H1 existed. And there's the machine it belonged to. I want one someday. If you know where I can pick one up, please let me know. I love two-strokes. I love old classics. I love motocross, supercross machines. How cool is Jeff Emmig's two-stroke there? It's very admirable of Jeff to loan his bikes to the AMA Hall of Fame. What a collection, guys. I hope you have enjoyed this. I want to know down below, what was your favorite motorcycle and why? Is it Doug Henry's? Wouldn't be a bad pick. Or is it Ricky Carmichael's? Or is it something that we saw in the flat track section? Is it something that we saw over in the off-road section? Or are you going to go all the way back to this? Wow. Unfortunately, this has to come to an end, Steve. We can't take up all your time, but I just really want to say thank you so much. This has been amazing. Do you guys have a good time over here?
Absolutely.
Oh, man, I'll be back.
Yeah, come back soon.
Wait to see the changes that Steve was telling us about, but please make time to come see it right now, because this is a motorcycle enthusiast dream.
It really is. Steve, if anybody wants to stop by or get in touch with you guys, what's the best way to get some information?
So you guys can just swing by, or you can go to the AMA website, which is americanmotorcyclists.com, sorry. We're open from 9 till 5, 7 days a week. So.
Guys, check it out. Let us know. You will not be disappointed. If you have any questions, leave them down below, and we will help guide you to Columbus, Ohio. This is amazing. Right off of 70. Make sure you stop. There is so much to see. What an awesome experience. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Remember, now's your time to comment down below. Let me know your favorite motorcycle and why. And make sure you get here. It's a convenient stop off of 70. It's really convenient if you're a drag racer. If you're coming from Indy, going back east, it's a good way to break up the drive. I always stop when I'm coming back from the NHRA US Nationals or an NHDRO event. How about that Z1R? I wanted to load that one up and take it home. Shout out to my good friend Rob Muzzy and Wayne Rainey. It was great to see that piece of history. So please, more than anything, share this video with a motorcycle friend. I don't care where they live. It's a great way to plan a ride. Heck, I might even come with you. Let me know. I grew up in Pittsburgh, so I'm not terribly far away. You never know when I'll be in town. This is a great excuse to jump on the motorcycle, jump on 70, and head out to the AMA Museum and Hall of Fame. All different eras, all different forms of racing. And I got to thank my friend Steve Austin. What a great tour guide he is. What a valuable asset to the AMA to have Steve. So much to see, guys. Really, really hope you enjoyed it. Can somebody please give me that GPZ turbo? I think the problem is I want them all. And I did not know that about the Terminator 2 Judgment Day bike. I think that's a really cool story. There's one that you can tell your friends. Hey, did you know the T1000 didn't really jump a KZ1000? Great to see the BSAs. Steve certainly knew his history on BSA. And how about for you Harley-Davidson fans? No brakes, way back when. And if you know me, you know I'm a KZ guy, but I gotta agree with what Steve said, that the BSA may have been the more stylish motorcycle. They were ahead of their time. The simulator was super cool. The Hall of Fame was super cool. And you know what, guys? This is why we're here. How about this one? This brought a tear to my eye. Elmer Trett, the greatest motorcycle drag racer of all time, in our opinion. He went 606 and 96, and now he's rightfully enshrined in the Hall of Fame. Great to see Scott Hardin and company, the Wheelie King. Come on, I know you guys got some stories from the Wheelie King. Now, if you can't get here, don't worry. We got your back. This is why we do these videos. This is why we travel the globe. How about Jim McClure? So great to see that legendary motorcycle drag racer enshrined. We sure do miss Jim, and I know Jim would appreciate his presence in the AMA Hall of Fame. From a drag bike standpoint too, we're gonna help Steve try to get some more drag racing machines in here alongside Jeff Emmig's collection. Wouldn't it be cool if we could get a hold of one of Jim McClure's bikes or one of Elmer Trett's old bikes to be alongside these greats, these legends? What an experience, guys. Truly loved it. Hope you did as well. This is why we're here for you. Do please make sure you subscribe to Cycle Drag on YouTube, like CycleDrag.com on Facebook, and we will keep the action coming. That one brought a tear to my eye. I watched Doug Henry in Steel City way back when win the championship. When nobody thought he could do it on a 4-stroke, he did. Jeff Emmig's first bike. Got to meet Jeff quite a few times. Great guy. Great to hear everything going well in his career as well. Check out those Emig grips. Those are cool. Look at this piece of history. Shout out to Electron. There's some early Electron decals. Learned a lot about BSA during this trip as well. And of course, a lot about Harley-Davidson, including how it all started. Wouldn't mind having one of the mystery machines as well. If you've ever ridden a mystery machine, let me know. My stepdad has one of these. I grew up on one of these. I know you had one of those, Mini Trail 50s. And make sure you enter the raffle to try to win this bike. So much fun was had. We loved it. I hope you did too. Thank you, AMA. Thank you, Steve. I know my father and my godfather were just over the moon. That's the reaction you get from motorcycle enthusiasts when you take them to the Hall of Fame. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope we provided you with a little bit of entertainment. That's always what we aim to do. We love motorcycles. You love motorcycles. Let's keep this thing growing. Check it out, guys. Up here on the wall, 100,000 subscribers. I love it. Thank you so much. It's all because of you. We appreciate it. Please come with any story ideas. We love the comments and the feedback. I read every single one of them. The positivity is always appreciated. And you haters out there, I love you too because you keep me on my toes. Thank you for watching no matter what. Guys, to keep this thing growing, please subscribe to Cycle Drag on YouTube. Hit the bell for notifications. Share with some friends who like drag racing, like motorcycles. This is how we can keep this thing going. And also like CycleDrag.com on Facebook. And we'll keep rolling. We'll keep finding those stories. We'll keep finding those impressive high-performance motorcycles that you want to see. Thank you guys so much. Truly appreciate it. You know, if there's anything fast motorcycles involved, we are in. Cycle Drag goes on. Ladies and gentlemen, the legend is here. How are you doing, sir?
I'm cycle dragging. I'm cycle dragging. That's what I'm doing. Cycle dragging forever and ever and ever.
You are the man. Sweep the leg, right?
Sweep the leg, no mercy, and cycle dragging.
Brad, your 20-time Top Fuel champion. World record holder, and one thing I'd like to do would be thank CycleDrag.com on Facebook, and I'd like for everybody to watch and view Cycle Drag on YouTube. People that help us out, help our sport out a lot, and if you don't support them, it's hard for us to give you support, guys. And just keep supporting my man Jack, and we'll be here a long time.
Wait a minute, is it the legendary Jesse James? Are you really the legendary Jesse James?
Sometimes, only in my own mind.
What do you got on your hat?
Cycle Drag.
You're the man. Do you watch the Cycle Drag YouTube channel?
No, but you should.
We hope that you'll start watching, and I appreciate it.
Yep.
Well, there's a man headed for the Hall, no doubt, Jesse James. Thanks so much, guys. Do please make sure to share this video, subscribe, follow, like, and you know if there's anything fast motorcycles involved, we're in. Cycle Drag rolls on.